I will just be a minute or so looking for something to talk about.
All right.
Defend objective A.
Stay
All
close
right.
to me and I will protect you.
So,
Over here.
immediately to start off here, you probably want to be up on high ground. So yeah, so just to double check, like, yeah, over on Fiverr, you said that you are like in on the line between bronze,
I
silver, yeah?
was on bronze and silver. I played some last night and I went down to bronze.
Okay, so we're just gonna have a bunch of things to go over here. Just high ground. Why don't we just talk about high ground real quick? High ground is fantastic positioning, so you want it whenever possible. From high ground, there's a couple things that apply. Firstly, all of high ground acts as natural cover. So, for example, let's say Roadhog is an enemy, right? We're on high ground. We see Roadhog, we back up, can't see us, right? Very simple. You can also crouch, does the same thing. So most of high grounds will act as natural cover, which gives us additional survivability and allows us to stay alive. Then additionally, on top of that, most characters in the game can't just instantly get to you on a high ground. 2/3 need to take the stairways, and then the other third they can get to you, they need to use abilities, in which case now they're out of abilities, and then once again that gives you increased survivability. And then additionally from high ground you have a ton of visibility, right? So if we compare our visibility from down here, okay, so now we can't see any of that top high ground over there, can see little of these high grounds. We really, we can't see, I guess, down main super great. So we just have limited visibility, whereas if we're up, for example, on like a top left or top right, we can see a little bit more of everything, or we can see on high grounds, right? All of these high grounds, we can see all over point. This is going to give us better angles as well to land, to heal and land abilities from. So overall, high grounds are fantastic. You want to look to take high grounds whenever possible. As Baptiste, you can just jump up the high ground anytime you want to. So you can just hold down your crouch button. It charges up your exo boots. Jump up there,
Yep.
and you'll be good.
Fully healed. Regen burst activated.
Okay, so um, we'll mention a couple things. So firstly, we've had two teammates die, kind of off of our screen while we didn't notice them. Now there's like two things that kind of go into this. Firstly, our positioning isn't making it easy to see them, right? So for example, note if we were like back up on this high ground where we can see a lot more, we would be able to just have everybody on our screen all at once. But being down here means that when we look left at Doomfist, Orissa's not on our screen, right? So that's part of it. But then the other thing is awareness of the fact that we want to make sure that you're looking around and paying attention and keeping your ears open and watching for your teammates, so that we can look to heal Orissa when she's about to die, and even immortality for her if she's about to die. Then so Orissa dies because we're not really paying too much attention to her, right? Possibly could have helped her out, kept her alive. Genji's about to die here in a moment, and we're kind of tunnel visioning in on this side over here. So Genji ends up dying over there, right up top behind us, right? So that, once again, that's a little bit of audio awareness. He requested healing, which is something that he had. We can go more into awareness if we need to, but just noting it for the moment is that that's another death that we kind of didn't even really look at. We didn't even notice that he was there, which is important as a support to be able to notice that. Now,
Regen burst
we
activated.
also use regenerative burst when there's nobody really to heal with it. Right? It's a healing ability, so if nobody needs healing, it's not really going to do very much. But we can again go more in depth on that as it comes up. I'm just commenting on it for now. Um, then we also kind of, you can see our current positioning and how bad that is for us. So we can kind
Yeah.
of go into the next step for positioning, right? So we talked about high ground, but let's also talk about just general positioning. All right. So when it comes to general positioning, this is something that's going to apply to pretty much every character in the game, and that is if I'm standing right here, right, and the whole enemy team is standing right there, and they're all looking at us and shooting at us. Same thing as the scenario we were just in.
You try
It's
your
going to take
best.
you 1, 2, 3 seconds to get behind cover, right? Now from here, you cannot shoot through solid objects. You're all good, you're safe, right? But in that time it just took you to walk here, you ended up dying. But if we're standing here, well, now we can shoot and do much of the same things, except for now it takes us half a second to duck behind cover, which is 6 times faster than what it just took us taking 3 seconds, right? So therefore, good positioning is the usage of cover, whereas bad positioning is the absence of cover, right? So you want to make sure that you're using cover, and there's cover all over the place, right? You have the slopes like so, you have pillars when you're in between shots, when you're reloading, when you're being shot at, when you're under pressure, right? You have corners that do the same thing. You have random objects that are sitting around. You can use kind of the payload like this as well, right? Pillar, corner, doorway, corner, right? Like I said as well, high grounds also do this. So if we were to go back into that game you were just in, right, where you're just basically standing smack dab on the middle point right in front of them, and that just makes it super easy for them to melt you, right? You're going to die very easily, and then obviously dying isn't good for you, which means that we end up needing to use Immortality to save our life, right? And then that just kind of wastes the ability.
Yeah.
Nice shot.
It's you or me, brother.
And I also can't really heal anyone if they're all behind me.
Yeah, exactly.
Group up with me.
A touch from afar.
Okay, now no, this isn't super like all on you, but notice as well like how we kind of hogged down here, and last fight as well, half of our team is sitting on point. In general, a team probably wants to be up on that top right high ground, because high ground also is good for the enemy team as well, right? It's good not just for us, but for them. And if we're just giving them the high ground for free, then that gives them a free advantage. And then if we go and contest that, then we can have the advantage and kind of rip it away from them or contest them from having it. But these last 2 fights, we've kind of only been half contesting the high ground. That got Orisa killed last fight, because now they're all coming out here, and then we only have half of our team up here. Right, like how are we going to be healing up our Orisa if we're all the way down here, right? That's just not going to be very easy for us. No good angles on the Doomfist, no good angles on the Moira. So probably being with our team as well is going to be very helpful here.
High ground.
You do boost up, that's good.
This is going to hurt.
Oh, excuse me.
Okay, you have potential for lamp there when you see that he gets flashed. Not not super bad, because that was more of a reaction time thing. Okay, so now we're here on the top right. That's much better. And to clarify, if your team is over here, you probably want to be on the top right. We can go a little bit more into why that is again as it comes up, but this top right would just probably be good if our team's up here.
After my will.
Okay.
Regen up.
Okay, so in this scenario, right? Trying to think. So firstly, don't step in front of your whole team, right? So notice kind of where we are in comparison to them, right? Where we're kind of in front of our Orisa and a Roadhog. We're kind of standing out in the open, right? Notice the lack of cover, right? The other thing, notice that we're not, even if we're maybe we could use cover like this, but we're still a little bit far away and we're not utilizing it, right? You can be near cover, but if you're not actually using it, it's worthless, right? Cover's not going to do anything if you're not actually stepping behind it. So in this scenario, notice that you're in front of everybody. Probably don't do that. That's going to get you killed because you're not a tank and you're going to get melted. You're also not using cover, and this is also going to mean that we have to heal people, we have to turn around, and then if we're behind them, sorry, in front of them, then we have to turn around, which isn't very good. We take so much damage there. We also once again step forwards, kind of into the fray of things. Reinhardt's charging at us. Probably don't, we have a little bit of time to react to this, so we can be jumping out of the way, we can be just moving left or right. Yeah, so just a lot of things we probably could have done in that scenario that would have kept us alive.
All better.
Okay. Once again, consider using your immortality field, right? That is going to keep people alive from dying because it makes them invincible while they're inside of it. You so far have used the ability once, from what I recall, and we're currently like 2 minutes 40 seconds into the game, right? So far, if it's a 25-second cooldown, you could have, if you used it off of cooldown pretty much every time you get it, you probably could have at a very, very maximum have gotten in like 5 by now or so, right? 5 or 6. We have so far gotten in 1, right? So look for scenarios where we can use it because we've seen multiple scenarios so far where people have been in danger, right? Like, so we see Doomfist, he gets flashbanged by McCree, probably going to take a bunch of damage if he's flashbanged by McCree because it's going to get followed up by a right click, and then he's going to die, right? So if we're just seeing that he needs healing, or that's the other thing to note with your immortality usage. You use it when people are in danger, right? Now note that being in danger is different from being low health, right? I can be at full HP, or sorry, I can be low HP and sitting right here where none of the enemy team is and be perfectly safe and not in danger, and immortality would not be useful, right? It would not be needed. And I can also be in danger and right next to a Diva Bomb and be very much in danger and full HP, right? In which case immortality is needed. Now, health bar typically does have an effect on it on danger levels, just not indicative of danger level, right? So use your ability ults and abilities that don't get used don't do anything. It doesn't get you any value, right? It's only gotten you what you could have by now probably had 3-4 times the value out of it if we're just pressing the button. And then additionally, you're never going to get better at using it if you're not using it at all, right? It gives you practice, and you kind of get better with it and work on some of your mistakes if you're actually using it. Okay. Note that you don't need to like, you can toss that immortality from up here. You don't need to drop to do that, and then this just puts us again into the whole fray, into the middle of everything, right? Additionally, noting, I guess that's fine, but Hog might not even need immortality. I guess it's because we hear McCree high nooning, so it's fine. But he also is you can see how much damage that did. The big thing to notice is that he was taking your Hog was taking a breather. So immortality there. No, I wouldn't say that was a bad thing, right? I would just say maybe it probably wasn't needed. But again, it's better that you use it than you don't use it. Right? I'd prefer to see you use it poorly than to see you never use it at all.
Yeah.
Additionally, yeah, like I said, it's just big thing here, so we just kind of drop unnecessarily, and that puts us in the middle of the fight. Okay. Additionally, we do have our ultimate there. Once again, ults that are not used do diddly squat. It gets you no value, right? When if you use it here, then you can possibly win the fight out of it. You can then start charging up your next one and get 2 or 3 ultimates in the charge in the time that you use nothing, right? In comparison, or used 1, right? Additionally, note in like timing of your ultimate, typically you want to use it at the start of the fight. Ults that are used first generally get more value than ults that are used second. So what I mean by that is, let's say that we have Bapple and they have Bapple. They use Bapple first, they shoot through it, they kill a bunch of your teammates, they do a bunch of damage. Now you use Bapple second, and now you don't have any teammates to shoot through your ultimate, and you're already at a disadvantage. And you possibly could have even lost the fight before you got a chance to use your ultimate, or they even killed you with it. So ulting first in a lot of cases can be good. Just make sure the fight's actually started by the time you're using your ultimate. So once again, use your ult. Could have immortality. Probably didn't need it on the Hog. We also there were Reinhardt and Reaper 1 HP if we are shot at them there. Right, we kind of look away from Reinhardt and Reaper who are 1 HP to look at the Roadhog who's pretty much full, or healing himself up, right?
Yeah.
And then No, we were completely. Yeah, just. I'm sorry. I'm hammering in on the point, but we just
Well,
completely
yeah, I
safe
jumped
until.
down and then
Yeah.
got dead,
Yeah, instantly.
Objective lost.
Over here.
Stop the
which caused
bombardment.
us to lose the point.
Yep.
You seem in need of aid.
No, not sure. This might be just something since you're coming back to the game. This might. Yeah, just since you're coming back to the game, since you took a break, note that you. Apologies, I have baby screaming in the background.
No, I
Okay.
understand.
Okay.
I've got a dog outside my door.
All right. So note that they made a change to Baptiste, where now you do more healing when you hit people directly versus doing AOE splash healing. So we probably don't want to be aiming at the ground to heal. In which case you probably, if we're trying to heal Roadhog, you want to be aiming at the Roadhog. Or at least what you can do is you aim at Roadhog's feet. That way, what happens is even if we can hit him directly if we hit him directly, but then even if we miss him, we still get AOE healing and we still get the splash healing. Whereas if you aim up here at Roadhog and we miss, then it goes sailing past him, right? But there we were kind of aiming at the floor, which just getting that information out there.
I require assistance.
Okay, just notice the positioning once again, right? Kind of that lack of cover. Whereas once again, it's all over the place. We have cover if we decided to come up to high ground. There's cover down here. There's cover right side. There's, I mean, we can take closer cover if we went like over here. I mean, I probably wouldn't be up where Doomfist is at, right? But it's just decent amount of it. I just named 3 different spots we could be in right now rather than out in the open. Okay. Additionally, there we probably could live if we used Immortality. So pay attention to not just your team, but your own danger level, and the fact that you're grabbed, and the fact there's a Reinhardt on top of you and you're low HP. So you have both of your ultimates there could have kept you alive. And then additionally, note that once again this is now fight number 2 that we have not used our ultimate. So we'll keep our eye on that. And I'll bring it back up if I need to.
This was you.
How about a little extra here?
And good usage of your shift.
Incoming.
The power of destruction.
Not as young as he.
And once again, maybe if you see that if Doomfist is like in, critical HP, has purple on him, you recognize that he needs healing. This probably is a situation where you could recognize that as well that he needs Immortality Field, right? And then
Yeah.
tossing it into more. Okay, will we use our ultimate? It seems like we're oh, there we go. Once again, maybe slightly late in the fight because now the fight's already progressed, right? You can usually tell when the fight's begun when the teams get close to each other. When that's what a big one is, that how close are the teams to each other, right? Are they on top of each other? Or are they a mile apart? Picks are flying, right? Each team's gotten a kill. They are very close to capping. They're like when ultimates start happening, right? Your Doomfist already ulted. That's another thing they can be indicating start of fights. The fights I would probably say is kind of around the start to mid, right? Is kind of that range. So we maybe could have ulted slightly sooner here, but note we do finally ult, but it's now fight number 3 where we ult, which means that let's say we ulted in fight number 1. Well, first off, that's potential for winning those fights, but secondly, that also means that by now we could have had 2 or 3 ultimates in the time we've used 1 ultimate, right? Which is 2 to 3 times the value if we just use the ultimate, right?
Get in here.
Okay. Once again, just recognizing, because it seems like you're fast on the healing, right? You're recognizing that hey, this person needs healing, but we're slow on recognizing the immortality usage. So note in general, immortality usage is incredibly important. It's basically a second ultimate on a cooldown, right? You can get so much value keeping people from dying, and here, Moira, we see 2 people are shooting at Moira. She's critical HP. This is low HP, high danger level, right? She has 2 people. She has a Reaper and a high charge Zarya tailing her. And this would just probably be a great situation once again to use Immortality Field to keep her alive. It's a little bit delayed. We throw it out after she's dead, therefore it just doesn't really do anything there. Good shots though.
Barrier is out of existence. Barrier destroyed. Activating the barrier. Enemy sight. Regen burst activated.
Once again, note that we're just stepping a little bit too close. Like we're kind of in Reinhardt's face. Might want to be slightly back here. It's a little bit advanced talking about predicting the shatter, so we don't have to get to that, but that is something that you can get more advanced with. Uh oh, we kind of tossed that one.
Get in here.
Just remember to look before you're pressing the button, right? Not after, because then it goes all the way over there. Very nearly stepped into that one, so be careful. Make sure we're just walking out of the way. Okay. Once again, kind of make sure we're trying to get to cover ASAP. We kind of walk towards Reinhardt here, and then that actually allows, I think we take all that damage because he swings at us, or we got shot by somebody. But we take a bunch of damage. We probably want to be getting around like the corner here, but we kind of like, instead of coming from here, instead of coming from here and then going immediately over here to try to get around the corner, what we do is we walk in and then this way, right, which is just the issue. Just puts us closer to the fight, gets us in the fray, and then gets us killed ultimately.
Group up here. My barrier is destroyed.
Helden sterben nicht.
Almost.
Regen up.
Okay. Once again, slightly delayed, right, on the Immortality Field. So as of yet, we have seen Immortality Field protect one life, and that was ours, right? So just so far, for quantifying that, how much we've done with Immortality Field in the course of 6 minutes, we saved one person, right? So just delayed on that, making sure putting effort into landing it.
Because if they're about to die, I want to focus on immortality first and then healing them while they're
Yes.
immortal.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, but it's and again, it's just the if they're about to die, it's just kind of watching their danger level, because if they're just
And then-
low HP, go ahead.
And then it looks like I used my ult when 4 of their teammates were already dead.
Yeah, notice something there. Yep. That gets into what you like, how to tell whether or not you've won or lost a fight. In which case, I mean, you seem as though you've already identified the main thing there. We've already killed 4 of their teammates, right? But then why don't I quantify it for you? Because usually what you want to do to the very basics of telling how have I won or lost this fight is watching kill feed, right? In kill feed, you can go, okay, if we're up or down 1 to 2 people, that is an advantage or disadvantage. In those cases, you can get extra aggressive or passive, right? When you are up or down 2 to 3 people, that is a won or lost fight. So in this situation where we're up 3 people, this is currently a 1 fight. So in those cases, you get extra aggressive. When you've lost a fight, you want to get out if you can, or you let them kill you. And then also you don't use ultimates in won or lost fights, so that we don't end up just using here when it's not going to do anything, right? But that is good that you caught that. That was Genji.
Yeah.
But yeah, just notice here like how
Let them up.
we wasted it, Genji wasted it. I think did Orisa waste it as well.
Yeah, I think that might have been why I panicked, because everybody pushed their ultimates at once, and I felt like, oh, I need to do my thing too.
Yeah. So just noting the fight, I think Orisa's like maybe okay. I'd probably say no. Orisa. So Orisa wasted it. You wasted it. Genji wasted it. So we end up wasting 3 ultimates, right? Additionally, I know that there's not a lot of people who talk at your rank. If you're playing with teammates who you know, or if you or if you ever just feel the hankering for talking, this is a very helpful thing to call out. Is just no ults. We've won the fight. We're up 2 people. We're up 3 people. That way you're getting across 3 points. Firstly, don't use ultimates, so you don't end up wasting 3 of them. Secondly, the fact that you've won the fight or lost the fight. And thirdly, the reasoning, just in case they're wondering the reasoning, because they didn't have coaching from Tabugi. So that just can get some helpful information across, save a bunch of ults, win the next fight after this, because now we don't have any ults for the next fight.
And then looks like I push up for the Doom Fist when I need to stay with the team.
Yeah, I mean, I think...
Hello, group up with me.
I mean, it's in between a fight, so while you're pushing them to... Yeah, just to heal the Doom Fist, that's not a problem at all, because it's in between the fight. And you just want to heal Doom Fist up.
Merci.
Touch from afar.
Incoming.
This will heal you.
Activating the barrier.
Power of destruction.
I need a dog. How about a little extra?
Require assistance.
Barrier is unstoppable. Barrier no longer exists.
Uh-oh, what? we notice how we step into Reinhardt again, right? Very, very easy to just stay away from him, right? Just back up. You have more range than Reinhardt does. He's a very close range character, so just don't walk into his face and you should be fine, right? We kind of walk really close forwards there. That baits out Immortality when probably once again it wouldn't be needed if we didn't step into a hammer, right?
My will made real.
I need healing.
60 seconds remaining.
Talk about sense. So your sensitivity seems a little bit jittery. What sensitivity and DPI do you have?
I have no clue. My
No clue?
computer that I'm using is one that I got for Christmas, and so the
Mhm.
DPI stuff changed from my old one, and so I'm not entirely used to it yet.
Okay. You can check. I don't know. You might have to open up Overwatch, but you can check your sensitivity if you go to options, and then it is in controls. It's just right there, mouse sensitivity. And then your DPI. Do you have like a branded mouse currently?
I don't know what it's called. Give me a sec.
Mhm.
It's an MSI mouse, and I've
Yeah.
one of those ones that you can change it. And I think I've got it on the 3rd setting, and then my
Mhm.
Overwatch sensitivity is at 15.
When you press the DPI button that changes it, does it like display? Does it tell you which one it is?
No, it doesn't. It just
No.
switches between them,
Um.
which is the hard part.
Huh. Do you have software that came installed with it? Like because usually those types of branded mice, you can get software along with it that can allow you to go in and manually see and change it and
I
whatnot.
feel like I read something like that on the box, so I'd probably just have to look for that.
Yeah. Okay. So if you don't know, then that's fine. But from what it's sounding, I would imagine that the DPI was high because you said it's on the 3rd setting, and you say it's higher than your last one.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit higher than the last one. Okay, so then I'm probably going to make the assumption that you're above the average. I would usually say your average DPI is going to be around 800. So sensitivity wise, once again, I don't know what sensitivity you have. But
Yeah, my Overwatch sensitivity
Mhm.
is at 15.
15. Okay, so already right there, let's just talk about that. So let's say, for example, let's just go with a minute. Let's just say, I don't know, giving a guesstimate, I would probably imagine that your sensitivity might even be higher, or your DPI might even be higher than this. But let's just say you have 1,000 DPI, right? Your EDPI is both of those multiplied by each other, so your sensitivity multiplied by your DPI. So if we do 1,000 times 15, that gives us 15,000, right? 15,000 EDPI. For comparison, mine is 3,600. So I would say mine is a very average low sensitivity. So when I do a full my on my mouse pad, my left to basically going from left to right, I can do like one full 360, right? When I do one full 360, you do over 3 full 360s, right? Which is a lot, and that's a conservative low estimate, probably based off of what it sounds like you have with your DPI, right? Um, so it could even be higher, like 4, 5, 6 times potentially. So no, I would probably recommend when it comes to sensitivities going for a low to medium sensitivity. The majority of the gaming community agrees that lower sensitivities offers up more control over your aim and allows you to be less jittery. That gives you a little bit more awareness and just overall more kind of it allows you to hit those like tiny little heads in comparison to just going for body shots and the like. Though do note that you will need a larger sized mouse pad if you're going to lower your sensitivity.
The mouse pad I have is pretty big.
Yeah, then it shouldn't be an issue. Um, so I just mess around with it, see if you'd like to go lower. Medium sensitivities usually aren't too bad, but I probably wouldn't recommend having that high of one currently. So check out your DPI, mess around with it. Probably recommend lowering it a little bit. Like just so that you can get down more, so that you have more control over your aim. And then don't expect it to feel good instantly. It probably will take you a couple days to get used to a new sensitivity. So I would recommend like just go into the training range, mess around with a bunch of different sensitivities. If something doesn't feel absolutely atrocious, then try to stick to that, see if it works out for a couple days. If you're on like day 3 and it still feels absolutely terrible, then potentially try changing it again. All right. So that's quick talk on that end.
This will heal you.
Not yet.
Barrier in place. Barrier is about to break.
Surrender
My
to my
barrier
will.
is destroyed.
Oh, I didn't mean this. Rewind there. Notice the stepping away. Right here, we're behind cover, right? We're next to cover, right? We can do this instantly. We step away from cover, right? And then that immediately appears as though it leads into a death, right? Immediately leads into a death when we step away from cover. So watching that, we also step kind of outside of our tanks when we can just allow them to body block for us additionally. So note that I don't think we haven't been dying over and over and over and over and over again like it hasn't been. Like I've seen people who die more than that. So I wouldn't say that that's an issue when it comes to survivability, but the issue is that the vast majority, even I'd probably say all of our deaths so far, have been very easily preventable. There's something you could have done to just stop it from happening. And then if you're just not dying, then you get so much more value, right? Each death that you die is 10 seconds of time to respawn, but it's also 10 seconds of time to walk back, which is 20 seconds of time. So far, we've maybe died 6 times or so, something along those lines, maybe 5.
There were other games though where I was dying a bunch and wasn't
Yeah.
able to heal people though.
Yeah. So
That is probably because I was in bad spots.
yeah. So like let's say overall here, let's give a guesstimate. At that current rate, we maybe like actually yeah, I don't know. I think let's say we died 5 times. I don't actually remember how many times we died. We died. If I'm thinking in my head, we died 1, 2, yeah, 3, 4, 5, something around 5. So 5 times in 7 minutes means that we end this game with, I don't know, approximately, let's just say 12 deaths, make it easy. That in total is going to be 4 minutes of gameplay where you did absolutely nothing, where you did not exist, right? Which is, in this whole game is a large chunk of time. That's where you could be getting 3, 4 ultimates, getting a lot of immortalities on the field, right? That's immortalities. That's like probably going to be around like 6 to 8 immortalities we could have possibly gotten out there. That's just a whole heck of a lot of value that we miss out on. And the other thing to note is that it's not just a lack of value; it's a negative impact. You are now you're putting your team at a disadvantage, and they're more likely to lose this fight without you, right? So getting a reign and handle on deaths is very important. Look to stay alive. Make sure you're watching for the things that are killing you. in general, there's 4 main things that cause deaths. There's poor positioning, a lack of awareness, a misuse of abilities, such as if we are just not using immortality or healing right when we need it, and then there's overaggression, such as if we walk into the Reinhardt, right? So far we've died from a mix of all of them, so you just want to make sure you're keeping your eye on them and paying attention and looking to stay alive.
Um,
Good.
Going back, sorry,
Mhm.
I did figure out what my mouse DPI was at. I was actually one sitting higher than I thought I was. So this game I was at 1,600. I can lower the mouse to 800 or 400 DPI though,
Mhm. Yeah.
plus
Um.
the basic Overwatch 15 sensitivity. Is there
Yeah.
any that you like recommend
For
combo for that?
for DPI, really the combo is not gonna matter a ton. It's more so just like I take a look at your EDPI and that matters the most of just like kind of where you're at. Below, I'd probably say it's like below like so roughly below like 4,500 is your low sensitivities. Then between that and like I don't know, let's say like 8,000 or so, that's your medium, and then above that is your high sensitivities, right? And then yours, for example, right, 16,000 or sorry, 1,600 times 15
It's a
was
lot.
24,000, right? So
Yeah.
that divide, let's do that divide by my 3,600, right? You had like 6.5. When I do 1 360, you do 6.5 360s, right? So you move your hand a centimeter and you start spinning around, right? So it makes it very difficult to work with. Probably recommend lowering it. Minimum you should go to is being able to do full 360 because you want to have the ability to make turns easily. All right. Now, on that topic, in general, like I always like to get into this with everybody that I coach, and that is application. So you might be thinking to yourself, okay, well, survivability, yes, I get it, but maybe it seems slightly vague on how do I actually put it into practice of staying alive. So let's work on that. So you work on your survivability in the exact same way that you work on anything that you're trying to work on in or out of game. And that is that while you are playing, you're going to make sure that you're actively focusing on the thing you're trying to work on, in this case, survivability. So that means that you're not going to autopilot, you're not going to just play to play, and contrary to popular belief, you're not going to just purely play to win, as if you do that, that means you're just going to stagnate, whereas when you play to improve, you're actually going to get better and win more games. Now, what that looks like within your gameplay is you're going to be thinking to yourself, and going. Survivability, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, cover, 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 pay attention, right? Don't walk into the Reinhardt, and giving yourself a constant reminder to stay alive and to think about survivability. And when you think about staying alive and your survivability and your using cover and not running into the Reinhardt, right? And paying attention to your surroundings, that will in turn up your survivability because you're putting an effort into it. Then once you do that for a long enough period of time, that forms it as a positive habit. Once you form it as a positive habit, then that means you no longer need to work on it nearly as much because it comes much naturally now, and you can take your focus off of it and move on to something else. Now, I will recommend don't try to do everything all at once. That will get overwhelming. It's not going to work out too great. Do one category of things or 1 or 3 smaller things within a category. That makes sense?
Hmm.
All right. Great, great.
Cool hit.
I cast
Over
this
here.
bolt.
My barrier is destroyed. Regen up. Universum sinkt for me.
All right.
Regen up.
So, no, maybe a little bit of lack of cover in comparison to them, right? Like, look at that, where, like, any cover on these guys, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? Sort of deal. It's just so far away from it. Whereas if we're coming out here and we're like here, well, then that's a lot better, right? We're over here, we're a lot better off than if we're standing smack dab in the middle of the open. That's gonna be a very big thing to keeping you alive, and then of course we die. Though that is a good spot to be using immortality.
Let them up.
All right, I didn't notice the overtime for half a second. I was like, uh-oh, but then you're good.
Team kill.
You're fully hit. Your move, brother.
Didn't have enough. Enemy turret here.
Okay, so once again, maybe can be using Immortality for those guys. The Doomfist here in particular. Then additionally, note that I think we kind of, I think the thing
Pushed
is,
too far forward.
um,
It's kind of looked like to me.
that your team did.
Was your
Yeah.
move, brother.
No,
Yeah.
like that I did. That I was ahead
You
of
did.
my team.
No, because in this scenario, they actually all walk out in there, like, with the Reinhardt, right? Doomfist and Mario goes in with the Reinhardt. It's possible that Roadhog doesn't even need you, right? Because he has self heals, and we kind of turn around to help the Roadhog, but then these guys on point probably need you a little bit more than Roadhog currently does. So helping them out with Immortality, right? You potentially, if we were paying attention to them, we could have saved Reinhardt, we could have saved Moira, we could have saved Doomfist. Now, does that win us the fight? Maybe not, but we did get a bunch of kills, right? We actually did kill 2 of their teammates, so this is still winnable. We just weren't there to give Immortality, and then here we can actually see Doomfist, but we actually don't throw it in there once again. We want to make sure you're using it.
Deactivated.
And then this is not necessarily a lost fight yet, because as we noted before, right, it's currently at 3v4. That's just at a pretty, that's a decent disadvantage here, but it's not lost yet. And once again, we probably could be using Immortality to help out the McCree, right? Peek this way, throw him more down there, right? That can help grab him, or we can also jump up here or something like that. Right? Just want to make sure we're looking to help out the McCree, but we actually don't end up doing that. And then now at this point, the fight's lost.
Over here.
And then looks like we start to back out, which is good. That's actually what you want to do. Good job.
Group up with
Over
me.
here.
I'm restoring you. I need to recharge. This is my way.
That was bell, no?
Okay, once again, Immortality field, right? Reinhardt's pinned. That's very high danger level, right? Reinhardt's pinned. He's down a little bit of HP. Throwing down Immortality here saves Reinhardt's life. So far, we're like 3/4 through the game. I'm gonna be taking the last 8 minutes or so to go over a quick review, go over the main points, and then wrap up the session from there. Now, I think right now, what would you say? Because we're going to go over the main points definitely at the end there. But what would you say seems to be, I'd probably say there's 3 main things that are popping in my mind. I guess maybe 3 or 4, right? 3 or 4 main things that seem to, that we're just consistently needing to work on, that consistently seem to be coming up. What would you say those things are?
Positioning, which includes
Mhm.
being behind cover and high ground.
Yep.
Immortality lamp, ultimate, and
Mhm.
then not exactly sure the last one.
Yeah, and then last one I probably just say survivability was maybe the last one, and that was the one that was like 3 to 4, right? So yes, you pretty much got all that so far. Pretty much out of it between our ultimate and our immortality, we've done basically diddly squat with it. Right? We just haven't done anything. Right? It just hasn't done anything. And then because of that, we miss out on so much enormous value you could be getting, right? Like if you just used your abilities, right, rather than holding on to them, that alone could probably rank you up multiple hundreds of SR. And then actually getting good with said abilities and ultimates that you're using now more consistently, that again could probably rank you up another couple of hundred SR, not even including positioning, not even including survivability, just the actually using them versus not using them.
That was bell, no? Get in here.
Okay. Now we do use it, right? But now the situations, do we need immortality? I mean, no one's, I would say, is now in as much direct danger. I guess maybe with with that big old sorry. It looks like nobody's in direct danger when we throw it. Maybe we're in a little bit more danger when Echo puts all the stickies on top of us, but we actually throw it before Echo stickies all of us. Additionally, note that if you are going to place Immortality, the same rules of your positioning apply to Immortality as well. Whenever possible, it's not always going to be possible. In fact, in a lot of situations, it's not going to be possible. But whenever possible, place Immortality around a corner. Because if we place it rather than here where they can destroy it and it goes down immediately, if we place it right here, well, now nobody on their team besides Echo can see it. And then it stays up for the full duration, right? Or she has to kill it, which is better for us as well. It stays alive longer, and then really it has largely the same coverage radius. So unless you need to throw it where there's no cover at all, which will happen, like I said, make sure it's cover where here there is very easy place to put to use cover. I am gonna note as well, just because like I think I just thought of this, but I have not seen you use Exo Boots once. So note that's going to be pretty handy. That's going to get you at, like, Reinhardt comes to swing on you, jump out of the way, Reinhardt's no longer close to you, right? We want to get a high ground, instantly up to high ground. We want to dodge shatter because we see Reinhardt's about to shatter us, we can jump over it, right? So it's just that's gonna do a lot, and it's not even really an ability. It's kind of like a passive. I guess it's like a passive slash ability, but you want to make sure you're using that one, right? Because we're currently not using that at all. And then once again, that's another thing that it's just not even on the radar currently.
Over here.
All right, let's see. Do we use our ult this fight? That would hopefully be the hope. Yes, we do. That is good. That's actually decent placement on it. Though Reinhardt's critical, need him Immortality. Yes, that's actually good usage of both abilities.
I'm going home.
Though,
Something about Baptiste Ultimate. I know it also increases the healing I do through it. So is it viable more to use my team to get more damage from my team, or to use it to heal my team more?
situational. And that's the answer to almost any question you'll ever ask. Is it depends. I would say that more often it's going to be used in front of your team, but if you notice that the situation calls for a lot of healing, so let's say, for example, let's say that your whole team's in a graph, right? And you see they're taking a bunch of damage, and if you don't get that extra healing, they're gonna die, right? That might be a situation where putting that your window down and healing them up could be useful. But I would say that that's on the rare, like it's not as common. I'd say you're gonna use it for healing, maybe around like 15% of the time, right? So if you're categorizing your ultimate into kind of like 3 different categories, right? You have placing it down purely for your own healing, placing it down purely for your own damage, and then you have placing it down for your team to do stuff through. Team to do stuff through is probably going to be like 70% of the time, or 65% of the time. You for looking for pure damage is going to be maybe yeah, it's around 15, and then you looking for pure healing is going to be around 15, right? And again, it just depends on the situation. Do you need a lot of healing? Is it going to be able to save people? That sort of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Here we don't notice that there's an echo behind us. This gets into audio awareness because we have a lot of different things to say. That where Echo is screaming, "Hey, I'm here! Look at me!" Right where her ultimate sounds are going off. You can hear her thumping around. You can hear her shooting. So let's talk about some sound real quick. But then we have to hop into other things. Sound settings. Recommend turning up your normal volume. This is kind of subjective to what your headset volume is, but just make sure it's loud enough. Music volume, turn it down or off because this can clutter with, or that's my recommended because it can clutter with your audio. And then make sure that on your headset that you have surround, check to see if you have surround sound enabled. If it is not an option, Then you have Dolby Atmos for headphones in-game, which is the in-game option. And then this gives you sound that surrounds you, makes it easier to hear. And then additionally, you can have those settings be meh and still have good audio awareness if you're actively paying attention. So pay attention to gunshots and ultimates and abilities and footsteps, etc. And then that way you know that there's an echo behind you and you don't die to echo, right? Okay, so now, like I said, we're gonna go over main points, do a quick review, wrap up from there. So, immortality usage, or sorry, ability usage in general, right? Immortality, use it. You're gonna, we can't even go into as much of the how-to when it's not used frequently, right? Because there's less scenarios for me to show you how to actually use it. But for the moment, big thing is just use it, use it, use it, and get more value that way. Then besides that, make sure whenever possible you place it behind cover. Main thing with it, look for situations to use it when people are in danger. HP can affect the danger level, but is not always indicative. And then besides that, for the most part, your shift usage was good. I think there's minor things with that. I wouldn't say it was a main focus. We can maybe focus more in on that as we get more advanced or you go higher, whatnot, right? But for the moment, that one was fine. Main thing, immortality usage. Overall, that was probably like a medium-high priority for you to work on, something like that. Maybe the lower end of medium-high priority. Ultimate usage, make sure that you are using it. Once again, holding on to it doesn't do anything. Make sure that you are not using it in won or lost fights. Make sure, timing-wise, ult that you use first generally get more value than ults that you use second. Look to use it towards the start of the fight. And then, just that additional question that you just asked, right? It's kind of going to depend on the situation of when you use it for what. Overall, that probably went like maybe, yeah, I'd probably say medium high, but then like maybe right below the ability usage. Then moving on to mechanics. We talked about sensitivity. You can figure out a lot of that stuff after you're done. Mess around with it. Probably recommend going lower. Besides that, I don't think we talked a ton on different mechanics. I did notice a couple tiny things, but I didn't bring it up, and that's, again, always things that we could bring up in the future. But for this session, we didn't talk too much about mechanics, and then overall, therefore, probably went to, we'll just say low to medium, but there wasn't a ton that I even discussed to work on. Moving on to positioning. Make sure you are using cover. Good positioning is usage of cover. Bad positioning is the absence of cover. Make sure that you are taking high grounds. High grounds are great. You can literally just jump up there super easily as Baptiste. And then additionally, it's just, the whole thing acts as natural cover. Great for you. Make sure, was there anything else with positioning? Don't walk in front of your team, right? Position behind them. It's going to make it much easier on you. Don't kind of just stand out in the open for everyone to get to you. Don't walk into the Reinhardt. Put a little bit of a distance in between you, right? Between you and their team. You don't want to be inside of them in most cases. And then that probably went to a medium high as well. And then finally, or not, I guess second to finally, we have awareness. Pay attention to what the heck is happening to your surroundings, right? What's your health bar at? What's happening with your team? Where are they at? Where's the enemy team? What's all their health bars looking like? What's the danger levels of your teammates is a big thing. Make sure you're paying attention to the flow of the fight so you know what's going on. 1 to 2 is an advantage or disadvantage. 2 to 3 is a won or lost fight when you're watching kill feed. Don't ult in won or lost fights. Get super aggro when you're winning. When you've lost the fight, you get out if you can, or you let them kill you if you cannot. Overall, awareness probably went to like a medium priority. And then finally, survivability. Survivability is just making sure you're staying alive. Deaths, it's not just a lack of impact, it's negative impact, and it's just so much time that you're losing out on. 4 things that cause deaths are poor positioning, lack of awareness, overaggression, and a misuse of abilities. And then just look to stay alive. Overall, that one went to a medium priority. So to put that all in order for you real quick, number 1 probably went to ability usage with a very close second. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna put positioning ahead of that. Positioning is number 1. Number 2, because that also fed directly into survivability. Number 2 is going to be your ability usage. Number 3 is going to be your ultimate usage. Number 4 is going to be your what else do we have? Your awareness. No, probably say survivability, then awareness as number 5, and then number 6 being your mechanics. Not really a big deal as of the moment, right? Wouldn't put too much worry or thought into it. So that is about it. Do you have any questions about anything?
No, that was really helpful. Thanks.
No problem whatsoever. So